Well, good afternoon, everybody. Dennis, thank you for that wonderful introduction, but I have to confess that I didn't get the clapping right until we got down to the straight applause. You know, that's the part that I really could understand, but Misty and Melanie, nice job. Thank you so much for that. It's so exciting to be here for Summer Institute. For those of us at North Carolina New Schools, this is the highlight of our year because we get a chance to be with people that we care deeply about and that we respect. And gathered in this room today are really some of North Carolina's most dedicated and accomplished educators. And thank you all for the work that you do. You know, we heard this wonderful welcome here to Concord, and we are delighted to be in this beautiful facility here in Concord. But we really decided that things were so dicey for education in Raleigh that we needed to get further away from Raleigh this week. And if we went across the South Carolina line, we thought someone might notice. So this is kind of the best we could do, and it's a great place to be, and honored to be here as well. Spread across the room today are members of the North Carolina New Schools staff, and I wanted to ask them all to please stand for just a moment and remain standing. Would the staff all please stand up? So you all stand up, stay up with me for just a moment. And the reason I asked them to stand, and that's generous of you to applaud them, is that these folks are here for one reason, that is to serve and support you. So every member of the North Carolina New Schools team, myself included, has an obligation of service to you, to learn from you and with you, and certainly we are inspired by you. So this week, if you have any needs that aren't being met, please see the people who are standing here. They are your resources, and they are your friends in this work, and certainly your partners. Thank you, staff. Angela, would you please stay standing and everybody else sit down? I just wanted to introduce you specifically because you are a newer member of the team. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Angela Quick. She is our Senior Vice President for Talent Development at North Carolina New Schools. She joined us just a few months ago and formerly was a wonderful and accomplished leader at the North Carolina Department of Education. Her work, if you don't mind my saying this, in her doctoral work and research is in STEM education, Angela, and you certainly bring a wonderful asset and knowledge to this team. So thank you for being with us and welcome. Lastly, I noticed when I was wandering through the audience, my friend Bill Taylor is here from the National Academy Foundation. Bill, hello. We're glad you're with us today. Thank you all at the National Academy Foundation for being such great partners at North Carolina New Schools. So today we wanted to, for a few moments, hear from you on a couple of things. And on the screen, you see some URLs. So bring out your device, whether it's your iPad or your telephone, and bring up that Poll Everywhere URL. So we can get a chance to hear from you during this segment. And you should be able to read that URL from everywhere in the room. So just a couple of quick questions. And the first one has to do with how many years have you attended Summer Institute? A, this is my first time. B, 1 to 4 years. And C, 5+ years. Now, my 83-year-old father texted me a few moments ago and asked me what I'm doing today. If you need him to come and help you at your tables, please let me know. He wants me to set up an Instagram account. I can't quite figure that out. So go ahead and respond A, B, or C. First time, 1 to 4, or 5+ years. Now, I'm told that the responses will populate as they are received. Is that correct? Everyone look at the tech table. The pressure is at the tech table. Refresh it. I'm told by the teacher leaders to refresh your browser. So we're going to do two types of clapping. This side of the room, we're going to do...
Make it an internet issue.
That's the second question. Let's go back to the first question. There you go. I'm sorry. So the good news is this. The good news is that I like every shade of pink, and right now I'm experiencing all of them. It sounds like we're having a little tech problem back here. So let's approach this a different way. If this is your first year at Summer Institute, would you please stand up so we can all see you all? Wow. Thank you very much. We're delighted that you're here. We have sort of a shared value that people who come into this network for their first time should be supported and welcomed. And so those of you who saw someone in their first year stand up at the table, please make it a point to reach out to them, get to know them, and talk to them about your work. This really is that kind of a collaborative community. Now, if you've been here more than 5 or more years, would you stand up, please? 5 or more years. Okay, veterans, you saw the new people. I want you to please go out of your way to welcome them to Summer Institute. You know, when Summer Institute first started, there were 4 tables in a small meeting room in Chapel Hill. That was 11 years ago, and today when you look across the size of this network, it's really inspiring to see how many people have come to this venture and who now own this venture. So welcome everyone, that we're delighted that you're here. Now, at this point, I'm supposed to ask you another question, but let me stop a moment and see if the tech folks have a solution. This is a bad sign. I looked over at the table. This is a very bad sign. So the question that you were going to get a chance to respond to has to do with how do you feel about the state of support for public education in North Carolina? Awesome, something in between, or disaster. So let's do it the old-fashioned way. If you think that the state of support from our state for public education is awesome, how about give me some applause? Something in between? Okay. Disaster. I call that polling with enthusiasm. It feels very enthusiastic around C. Well, I suspected as much when we were putting the meeting together that the temperature we all feel right now is maybe not what we wish that it were. And it reminds me, if you've been on an airplane lately, you know the drill with the flight attendant. In the event of turbulence or the loss of cabin pressure, what's going to happen? An oxygen mask is going to descend from above your seat. Please grab the mask and place it on yourself before attending to those in your party. And we're at a point now with this community and with public education. It's time here at Summer Institute to put the mask on ourselves, to take a deep breath, to validate each other, to grow systems and quality. How do we focus in a collaborative way on continuous improvement? Continuous improvement that's premised on professional respect, encouragement, and inquiry, not on judgment and testing and the arcane things that are being delivered to us by a largely political environment. Briefly on talent, we've been talking forever, and those of you who are new to this may not recognize the work around peer learning networks and the supports for customized school-based and district-based professional learning, and things that are familiar to some, not to others, around rounds and peer observation and review and all the strategies and tools that go into that kind of work. And you heard earlier from Misty and Melanie around Coach University. Thank you both for that beautiful presentation. We're proud of what's happening there because we took 10 years looking around the country to find the best work. And we're not done yet. We're going to continue to look for the best work around coaching and continue to blend that work in a virtual way to be more accessible to everyone. The other major component of that is the North Carolina Center for Educational Leadership, which began with the focus specifically on principals, and over time will grow to a focus on district teams who can share the language that you share, the lens that you share, and certainly the expectations that you share in moving this work forward. So that's a brief look at talent. Around designs, the focus is on student-centered instructional strategies. That's an aligned instructional system, and sometimes the conversation focuses on design principles or on differentiated models of schooling, whether that's a career academy or STEM or some other design, but the point of it being an intentional decision around what that design looks like. And then in every single setting, regardless of the type of environment, that they're connected deeply into business and industry and deeply into colleges and universities, so that the commitment that every child graduate with both career readiness and college readiness is delivered upon, and increasingly the commitment that every child, no matter what school they go to, will earn college credit to an extensive level while they're in their high school experience. And then lastly, looking at quality. The notion of quality is on continuous improvement, and you've been doing that work through your impact planning and the gap analysis that's found within that impact planning, the design principle rubric review process, and increasingly the effective use of data. This year and going forward, North Carolina New Schools is making much deeper commitment into data and to supporting you all with data. And you'll begin to see that not just at this event, but going forward. Essentially, the focus on quality is this notion of it's a journey, not a destination. And I worry sometimes when I hear teams talk about awards in schools, and it's certainly important to hold up good practice and to celebrate success, but sometimes an award for being really, really good can be a bifurcation of focus away from that notion of continuous improvement, and good really is never good enough. It is that journey. So taken together from North Carolina New Schools, our commitment with both schools and with districts is around the notion of talent, designs, and quality, that intentional design system and that ongoing commitment to quality so that it is more systemic. It's not about a program or a strategy or a grant or a layer, but making that transition to one of ongoing quality improvement that is premised on respect and professional learning. And the network has grown dramatically for the North Carolina New Schools over the last few years. We are now partnered with 12 four-year institutions that you see populated here on the map, and 46 of the state's 58 community colleges, and then over 80 of the state's school districts. For us, that is so gratifying to see that progress, because as I said at the beginning of this is about service and about how we create a peer learning environment that is meaningful for those who are standing with students every single day, that is meaningful. And that meaning is derived from the notion of professional inquiry and that is disciplined in its practice, so that that inquiry and that growth has value and over time becomes even more valuable in terms of improving practice. It's about prototyping solutions in one community and having that new approach spread across a network much more quickly than it would if we were not here together. But I would say one other thing about this network, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't tweet this comment because it's going to be on the edge of politics. You've become a palpable force in the state of North Carolina as we've had transitions in governance in Raleigh. And what I mean by that is many of you have been reaching out to legislators and those who donate to campaigns to talk about the kind of communities that you're creating. to lift up your school experience as something of great value that can be used to inspire and drive change on a much broader scale in North Carolina. You may have noticed that even during the down cycle, even during these transitions, the work that you're leading has continued to receive support by the state of North Carolina and growing support by business and industry. And it's because of what you're accomplishing and the clarity of your vision around the work. I want to actually stop and applaud you at this point for what you have made possible in this network. So our last polling question, I hope you've enjoyed the first two. Our last polling question has to do with assigning meaning to this notion of the future of learning and the future of learning now as we would describe it within the context of this meeting. I think that for me the punchline is that the future of learning is driving the profession toward great quality and great recognition of quality by virtue of the things that you're doing. It sounds so simple to say that rounds and protocols and all those behaviors are just things that you use to get the job done. But what you are doing is lifting up the profession in a way that defines the future of learning now, especially the future of learning for adults that make excellence in public education possible not just in some places, but in all places. So I want to conclude with this thought. Saturday, I had a chance to visit the 9/11 Memorial in New York, and it's the site of the Twin Towers and the disaster in 9/11 at the Twin Towers. And shortly after the events of that day, within a week or two, and the area of that city was just decimated, and I had a chance to see the explanations for the impact of this on the city. There was this tree that they found, and it was the only thing that showed any life for blocks within the 9/11 project, showed any signs of recovery through the dust and all the damage. And that tree today looks like this, and it's called the survivor tree. It's called the survivor tree, and it's become a point of inspiration for people who think about resilience during the worst of circumstances and what's required for resilience in the worst of circumstances. One of the things I love about us as North Carolinians and as Americans is that we have a spirit around resilience in challenging times. And for those of us in this room, sometimes that survivor tree can be a student who, with the attention that you provide them and the additional support that you provide them, can overcome almost any sort of circumstance in their families. And sometimes for me that survivor tree is a school that may not be fully supported by its district, or a district not fully supported by its county and its community. But in public education and for the work that you are leading, we need to keep our eye focused on the survivor tree. And we know that we're going through a period of turbulence where sometimes people don't do what we wish they would do in terms of respecting the profession and respecting the incredible service that you provide. But I want to conclude with the thought about that survivor tree because I was really very touched by it. And the thought that we are just deeply honored to support you, to learn from and with you. We look forward to the next couple of days together with you here at the Summer Institute. And my closing piece of advice would be, if you're ever speaking in front of a group of 900 people, don't test out polling equipment on site. Thank you for your patience. Have a great day today.